Here comes the news with a twist and a grin. Stephen Allen diving in again. Almost daily, but always sharp. He'll hit your brain like a lightning spark. Stephen Allen, almost daily. Laughs and facts, served out plainly. Your dose of wit, it's never shady. Stephen Allen, almost daily.
And we're back. Hello, and welcome to Stephen Allen, Almost Daily. I've just restarted, done a Windows 11 update. That's why nothing will be working on today's show, and that is very much what you get when you pay for Windows 11 Pro. Delightful, isn't it? I came into the studio ready to do a show, and it was like, oh, it had already restarted. You have to type in your little password thing, and then it tried about 7 times to flog me something to do with Word or 360 or whatever the heck it's called. And I managed to negotiate my way through the no, yes, no. If you don't get the right combinations, you go back to the start and it tries to charge you again. I managed to get through to having it all, the things updated, and then all the cameras hadn't loaded in, some sort of USB thing. So I restarted it, which it restarted 4 times, and then had to go through the thing of it trying to sell me Windows 365, whatever the hell it is. No thanks. So you're up to date. Basically, I've had a fight with Microsoft. Of course they win. They always win. I worked on a radio station. I'm not even meant to do loads of asides today. I thought we'll just crack on with the news. Not right now. I worked for a radio station that ran its playout system from Windows, which is absolutely fine, isn't it? What a great system it is. Apart from when Windows decides it will restart it because it wants to run the updates when it's playing out songs live. So it just, in the middle of the night, would just reboot the computer and the radio station would go off air. Thanks, Microsoft. Right. Proper Meme says we're in phase 4 of live stream. Joodles is there as well. I think we deserve audio for the money we pay for this podcast, says Proper Memes. Yes, well, it is. Don't blame me. Blame Microsoft. I paid for the Windows Pro as well. If I was getting poor service off Windows Home, fair enough. I'm Windows 11 Pro, mate. I do have a joke. I've done this as a clip from stand-up on social media, so I'm not giving too much away. In my set that says, trying to pleasure a lady orally is like trying to install a Windows 11 update. All of the signs will tell you you're 99% of the way there, but that last 1% takes a while, doesn't it? Been doing this for ages. You think we'd be there by now? Oh, great. Now we're restarting. So, you're up to date. Chris Hood's in the chats. Joodles, Proper Memes, all there as well. Welcome to the live streaming version of the podcast. The audio version of this will be available on Spotify a little bit later. I should say, I don't know how much news we'll get. I've not paid attention to the news. I had a wonderful week last week. I did gigs on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday were in Hemel Hempstead. Delightful. I didn't realise that Hemel Hempstead has a nice part. You know, that's the biggest news I'll bring you today. I could talk about Gaza all day long, but Hemel Hempstead has a nice part. I've done gigs in Hemel before, like the Market Squarey bit, and considered myself fortunate to leave with my life. Those kind of gigs. Whereas the Old Town, it's delightful. It had a soap shop. You know, when you get shops. In the olden days, I imagine soap shops were like the things you get in poor areas, and now it's only the upper middle class. Which is like this bar of soap with herbs and spices that you can't name. It's £17, that kind of thing. Now, one of them. I didn't buy any. And then Liverpool. I was up in Liverpool. I did a gig in Liverpool on Sunday. They paid for a hotel, so I stayed over. So Monday morning, I was driving away from Liverpool, realising I was in Labour Party Conferenceville. One wrong turn, and I could have ended up at the Labour Party conference. I've never paid so much attention to my sat-nav ever in the history of ever. I managed to get away from it. All the rest of journalists and stuff like that are heading there to try and deal with this. I never felt happier to be driving away. I even treated myself to the M6 toll road. The Norton Keynes services. One of the most expensive sandwiches I'll ever buy, because it cost me £10.50 to get there. Actually, I used the toll road, the M6 toll road. The last time I used it, it was like £5 something. And I thought, well, there's been inflation since then. No, I'm sure it's £6, £7, maybe £7. Maybe if it's £7.50, that's fine. I think they always manage to play paste put the charge for the M6 toll road slightly above, just above where my northernness can expect. Because no, I don't expect £10.50 to drive on a road. And they say, well, there's no police on there. You can go as fast as you like. For £10.50, I'm slowing down, mate. I want to enjoy it. That cost me £10.50. So anyway, you're up to date with what's been happening in my life. We can start off today's podcast by... I've redone some of the buttons for the live stream as well. So in theory, it will make more sense when I get used to the buttons. I'm going to buy a Stream Deck. We start with the Daily Telegraph today and Trump to govern Gaza with Blair. I stopped paying attention to the news for 2 days, and look what happens. Blair and Trump have teamed up to take over Gaza. Do I have to pay attention to everything? Honestly, I have one nice night in a Premier Inn, and Tony Blair's back, trying to put digital ID all over Gaza. I imagine he can make it. I can make that happen there. Might not happen over here. Read my newspaper column this week for my thoughts on digital ID. But yeah, Trump. I mean, look, if you've got a difficult situation in the Middle East, you want someone who's never caused big strife in the Middle East. Blair, though, do you know, it feels like an odd. It's like having a marriage guidance counsellor, and it turns out it's your abusive ex-husband. Do you know what I mean? I think that's exactly what it is. Judel says I'm slowing down, but in quote marks. Did I say I'm slowing down? Did I? I've reached that age. The Daily Mail has the headline, Reeves plots VAT attack on private health. After class war assault on private school fees, now Chancellor considers targeting medical insurance. I was about to be outraged, and then I realised I don't have private medical insurance. The only time I've ever had it is when I had a contract at GB News, and they paid it. So maybe I'm less worried about this. This one will be one that the employers, most people with private healthcare, get it through their work, don't they? So they'll be doing it. I think you've got one I don't care about. I mean, I'm also never going to go to private school. Keep going. And last week they were talking about charging people more if they gamble. As long as it's not things I do. That's why I don't like the idea of VAT in general. I buy stuff. I don't want to pay that. But if other people can pay it, I think you're onto something here. Keep talking. The VAT on shampoo could go through the roof for all I care. I think that might be the solution to our problems. The Mirror goes with, Corrie on winning. I have no idea what that means. There's a thing at the top. Starmer's NHS revolution. Access to specialist docs online in bid to cut waiting lists. And they've gone with the headline, Hospital App Ointment. And I looked on genuinely when I was in the Tesco earlier on before I got the screenshots of this. I thought it was something about ointments. Because what's more closely synonymous with healthcare? Ointments or apps? I think that headline sold me a pup there. I was thinking, they've got a new balm out. Is there a tincture? Do I rub it in? Turns out it's an app. You can get to look at your doctor on an app. It says you can get to specialists all over. Good, I suppose. I'm a little bit worried that if ever I do that thing of clutching my chest, collapsing to the floor, I don't just want someone on the phone looking at me die. Do you know what I mean? It feels like you want someone to get involved. They can't just say, could you take us a picture and send the picture of it? There's your front pages, all up to date in the chat. Gangster vibe in Gaza now. Yeah, I suppose it's a low bar about making it worse, though, isn't it? Maybe that's how they've managed to do it. Proper Meme says, NHS Virtual Hospital is just a massive operation board game online. Oh, that's not bad, actually. All those years I spent training on it, maybe I could be a doctor. Oh, well. Yeah. You can get robot control. They actually do surgery remotely, don't they? They have robot arm things that look a little bit like they should be knocking together a Nissan Micra, but they're not. They're smaller. And I suppose they're more accurate. And they do surgery. So you can get to see your doctor, to see a specialist, because I've never seen my doctor in real life, not even sure he exists. Then you can also see specialists now in apps. Then you can have surgery done remotely via the internet. There's a strong chance I will regret being with TalkTalk, because if I had reliable internet, I probably could have not died. Do you know, that's what I'll be thinking. I'll be on the pearly gates going, should have gone with Virgin. Not the first time I've said that. Proper memes now cough and turn your head. Oh dear, do you imagine you have to rest them on the screen of the phone? I mean, it can read my fingerprint, so I'm fairly sure you could Okay. Well, I'll try later. I don't have the app, but it's good to get the practice in, isn't it? They do say that the screen of a mobile phone has more bacteria on it than your toilet. Well, let's add to that. You're up to date. Let's see what's inside the newspapers.
Let's get inside the news.
I know I keep jumping. I know I keep it's playing from an SSD for crying out loud. I've rejigged the level of zoom in on the camera. So in theory, there's that, and then there's that. Right. It's all one row. It should work better than it did before. No, we can't start with that one. We can't start. No, let's find a different one. No. I'm not enamored by the news we've got. The news we've got to talk about today. Here we go. Sorry for the fingernails as well. I've been trying to repair my bike. Brief aside, let's get rid of that. The reason I'm quite stressed out today is I booked my car in for an MOT. The missus booked the family car in to get repaired on the same day, which makes it tricky, doesn't it? Because it means I've got no car all day. I had to drop both kids off because the missus is at work. And before I went to do the gigs on the weekend, I had a puncture. Not on the cars, on the bike. What does that matter, Steve? Well, it's a foldable bike. So my plan was to drive one car to the garage, unfurl my bike back, get in the car, drive that one to the other one, and then cycle to my appointment that I had this morning. But I couldn't with a flat. And my missus said, just use my bike. What, the one that's too big to fit in a car? And then I tried to repair the bike yesterday. No spare inner tubes. So I had to literally puncture repair kit it. And that's why the fingers are in absolute state. I always lose the battle with trying to get the wheels on. I put them on and then they don't spin. So, back to the news. Wood burn lungs risk. Is there a verb in there? I suppose burn. Risk. Using open fires or wood-burning stoves could cause lung damage just like cigarettes, a study warns. Burning wood creates tiny air pollution particles that penetrate the lungs. I feel that we knew this. Did you know this before? I feel like this was very much... We were up on this, weren't we? Of course, smoke seems to be bad for you. I don't think we can treat it the same way. I don't think it'll be like you can have a wood stove, but you have to do it outside a restaurant. You know what I mean? I'm not sure it's going to work. I did see this thing once that was saying we Brits have a problem with this. The Industrial Revolution came along and we all started burning coal. And every other nation had the good idea to like enclose it, but we were like, no, leave it open like a log fire. And so we've just breathed in all this, basically just get the smoke, the kind of stuff that you would pipe out of a chimney. We tried to get more of it into our house, which is why we're all done for. But what I do like about it is it's a middle class thing, isn't it? The idea of a wood burning stove, you're having a laugh. Why would I want one of them? That's very much a middle class thing. And if there is a link between stuff the middle class want to buy and stuff that will do their lungs in, I think we've finally discovered levelling up. It's the only thing that will work. Your political stuff, not a chance. You get something out there. You get some of those 17 quid bars of soap and put some really nasty chemicals in there. I think we could find a way to get the working class back on its feet. Cavemen dropping like flies, says proper memes. Well, exactly. It's bad for you, isn't it? They were dropping like flies as well. You're literally picking the one phase of humanity where if you made it into your 30s, you were one of the elders. Imagine that. One of the tribal elders. How old is he? Well, he's just got his public service bus driving licence. Maybe that doesn't quite work as a metaphor. Having recently changed both inner tubes, says Joodles, and ended up having to phone the ex to come and get the wheel back on. The shame. I feel your pain. It's annoying, isn't it? Because they fit in your tiny. Well, look at that. And you try and spin it. Don't get me wrong. Whoever designed the bike must have felt like they had superpowers. The first person to invent the bike must have been like, look at me. I go so fast. But it needs a bit more improvement about the easy attach wheels. My backside. What else is on the front in the newspapers? Quite like this one. Is your ex available to come and sort out my bike, by the way? I don't have the smoothest of rotation. Nor does the bike. Chefs a treat. Chefs a treat at tea time. None of these headlines make sense. Soaring numbers of Brits are forking out for fancy private chefs. They hire them for dinner parties to have more family time or because they can't be bothered to cook for themselves. I think I've run out of any sympathy for all the people. You know, oh, life's so hard. The cost of living crisis is the nightmare. And just we're so overworked that I hired a private chef. I think you'll be fine then. I reckon you'll cope. Daniel Lee, a former winner of MasterChef, said, and we don't know what it says, but it's probably something really bad about one of the hosts and a sock and nudity. So let's not even zoom down that low. Yeah, go on. We'll try this one. 4 guilty secrets. At last, a headline that I can understand. Shifty Brits are hiding an average of 4 guilty secrets at any one time, research shows. I say to you, your research is flawed because of your question. We dealt with this last week. The idea of whenever you're trying to plug a show or whatever, your PR people will say, here's an interview to get you in some magazine. What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? I'm not going to tell you. Because it's embarrassing. I'm going to pick something way down the list of embarrassment that is vaguely amusing. There's never been a comedian promoting some Edinburgh show or, I'm performing in Hemel. Oh, he's coming to the local theatre. What's the most embarrassing that's ever happened to you? Well, I was cleaning naked once and I fell over backwards. And, there's never that one. That's never happened to me. In fact, I think I made a link once saying, in the world we live in, you look like a bigger idiot for being the kind of weirdo who cleans naked and falls backwards onto a candlestick than turning up to the A&E with one of them up here and they go, what happened? You went, just want to know what it was like. Do you know what I mean? It feels like we live in a time where there's less judgment. I'd often wondered. I was playing Cluedo and I thought, well, this Colonel Mustard guy, he's a powerful man. I wonder what it would happen if... Oh dear, coming down with something. You keep digging up there. Some lead piping up there if you keep going. A dream of a bed for £30,000. One of Britain's oldest beds dating back to the reign of Elizabeth I. I don't think it means she slept in it or reigned on it, which is a very Trumpian thing, isn't it? Is up for grabs for £30,000. The 4-poster, of course, was once in this fancy house in Cornwall. £30,000 is a lot for a bed when you could get a new one for less. This is the thing. I'm all for reusing. I'm all for recycling. But that feels like it's a lot more than a bed should be. That's going to add to our inflation figures. Don't buy it. Do not. This is what I'm saying. The bed goes under the hammer at this auction place in Salisbury like they always do. Is that the end of the story? It is, yeah. Wouldn't go for it. I stayed in a Premier Inn over the weekend. And whenever you're in a Premier Inn, you think to yourself, I wonder who's done what in this bed. And that's only been there since probably the 70s. Imagine what people have gotten up to since the reign of Elizabeth I. Imagine, I was going to say something then. I was going to say, having a monarch reign over you must, get some people a bit frisky and realised we've basically spent all of our lives with a queen, haven't we? It's only recently been a king. Maybe that's why things seem less frisky these days. This one. I need to zoom out for this one. Here we are. That's better. Mums and dads worn out by morning run. Parents say their morning school run is so hellish they feel like they've worked a full day by 9 a.m. We haven't. You idiot. I'm currently going through this myself, right? That, like today, for example, before I dropped off the cars, I had to drop off both kids. Mrs. is at work, so it's me, 2 kids. They outnumber me, but, I've got a reach and a speed advantage. And I managed to drop the kids off, and yet we have to start 25 minutes before we leave the house. Doing right, let's put your shoes on and go. And there's negotiation, there's crying, but I'm in the middle of playing with toys. And that's not all me. Sometimes I am. And eventually we managed to get there just about on time. And then you drop the kids off and you got the day to yourself. Not that long ago, all of my days, and the reason I wasn't doing stuff like this before, all of my days I was looking after 2 kids all day. And the idea that I would have such a short memory that I start moaning about a 9 a.m. drop-off. Oh, it's so exhausting by 9 a.m. that I can barely enjoy my coffee afterwards in Costa on my own or read a newspaper to do a podcast. Stop trying to make out you're the biggest victim in the world is what we should all have tattooed on ourselves. Oh, it's so stressful. I am lucky that I walk to school with the kids. I'll moan about it one day when it's bad weather, but I see the people who try and drive there. Ugh. Also, my missus doesn't like this, but deal with the kids more than she does, so she can't really stop me. I've taught my lad that, the sign that says school, and underneath there are the 2 yellow lights that flash. And he asked what those lights mean, and I said they mean warning mummy drivers. And he now quotes that to everyone. He sees the light and goes, "Oh, mummy drivers. Gonna get him cancelled." But it is funny. Zoom in on this bad boy. Look at the zoom. The zoom works now, doesn't it? I've sorted it out. Gen Z couples, I refuse to say Z, are getting frisky in their cars due to a lack of privacy at home. You don't have that much privacy in your car as well. Just saying, unless you've got tinted windows or have an intricate thing. You know those things you can put up when it's frosty? Do one of those. 4 in 10 said living with folks makes it hard to be intimate with the partner. Yeah. Have you tried a Premier Inn? This firm unveiled a Kama Sutra guide. For those listening on radio, you can work out the pun. It's not that tricky, is it? The best car models to have nookie in, and the most motor-friendly positions. Outside it, leave it on the drive, go inside. Park it at Premier Inn. Spokesman Charles Harvey said for many couples, cars offer much-needed private space. Not much space, though. I'm a 6'2" man. I don't think a van I could probably make work. A man and a van, then you could work. If you could pop a mattress down there, I reckon I could do something with that. But I ain't getting my knees out from underneath that steering wheel. Do you know what I mean? The Mummy Drivers is playing well in the comment section. I mean, my missus hates Mummy Drivers. I'm keeping him safe. Look, it's all very well wanting your modern values, but I'm keeping my son safe. When those lights are there, watch out. There will be bad parking. That's so unwoke. I can't do that story until the end now. We'll move on to this one. J-Lo. There we go. Oh, that's right on the cusp of not being the right zoom in. There we go. Jennifer Lopez has said her divorce from Ben Affleck was the best thing that ever happened to her. She married her fellow Hollywood star in 2022. They split in 2024. That was the second go around, wasn't it? Because they were together before. She says the best thing. You're coming across as a reformed smoker. Do you know what I mean? You keep going back to it. You've still got the habit. I think the reason they ended their relationship in the first place was they made that Geely film, isn't it? So I'm getting the feeling. And then he went to become Batman. I thought I'd have more on that story, but I really don't. It's because I just don't care. Some woman who got divorced said it's the best thing. Yeah, you do, don't you? After a divorce, here's a piece of advice. Say it's the best thing that ever happened to you. Because that's the only option available to you to have good mental health. Get divorced and say it's one of the worst things you ever went through. Next thing you know, you'll be dressed as Spider-Man, climbing a building trying to get access to your kids. So you've got to focus on the positive. I would like to see Jennifer Lopez dressed as Spider-Man trying to get access to the kids, though. Do they have kids? They don't have kids. And that is why we don't have that amazing multiverse Marvel film. They didn't do that, did they? You know, in the animation one, Spider-Man Across the Multiverse, whatever it's called. And they have the Nicolas Cage, Spider-Man Noir. They have different Spider-Man, Spider-Pig or something, I don't know. They didn't have a bloke from England dressed as Spider-Man up Big Ben trying to get his kids back. That would have been funny. They should have even done that in the other one with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield who crop up as the previous Spider-Man. And there's you could just see a portal open. And there's Big Ben. There's some bloke with a banner. I'm coming up with gold, and they are not making these films. And trust me, they're making worse films than my ideas. What's this one? Overshot it. Post offices should be used for more services such as prescription collections, digital ID, and business advice. Business advice from a post. I want to check that. Is that literally saying that? Wow. Would you get business advice from a place that's literally going to shut down if it doesn't start doing more services like business advice? I think you're the biggest failing business there is. I know there's that you can split off Royal Mail and Post Office now. So I'm slightly conflating the two. But what you've got there is a series of shops that no one bothers going in unless they really have to. No one's happy with it. Half the business tried to sue its own franchise holders because the Horizon software was an absolute rip-off. The entire system is utterly useless thanks to emails. The only thing that the post office does is successfully distribute elastic bands on our streets for some reason. Not sure. I mean, eventually that'll be useful. When they're piled kind of maybe ankle high, no one will be dying of falls anymore. Do you know what I mean? It'll be hard to walk through the sludge of elastic bands, but an old person falls down, doing, they're back up and they can crack on. But they wouldn't go to the post office afterwards because no one wants to. Right, there we are. That's that one done. Oddly, I didn't think I've had anything on that, but I did. I should point out, I didn't have time to do a lot of prep today. I literally just found some stories. I'm like, I reckon I could probably think of something there. This one I know what I've got to say, though, because this one's an interesting one. Fly flag for pride, but for pride. So this is this lady over here. There we go. Remember the face. Brits should fly flags as a symbol of pride, such as supporting the Lionesses, and not to make people feel they don't belong, according to an MP. All right. So NLP-wise, you've got a presupposition in that sentence. What you've done, instead of saying, I think the flags don't make people feel welcome, and we could debate whether that's true or not, you have it as the presupposed part of the sentence. Well, you shouldn't do it to make people not feel welcome, presupposing that it doesn't make them feel welcome. Oh, I love it when I get over-analytical. Labour's Bel Ribeiro Addy told the Daily Star, do you know, I love they've left that bit of the quote, do you know, no, you never. I did. I said, no. He said, yes. I said, yes. I said, do you know what? You never did. Do you know, I'm not against symbolism. When we have our fantastically diverse lionesses, when we've got the England flag up, when it's the Olympic Games, you've got Team GB, or when everybody's at street parties. So I think what she's saying here, and tell me if I'm wrong, that she totally supports the use of our nation's flag, as long as it is not to do with the nation. You can have a national flag, not because of not the nation. No, you can't celebrate the nation with a nation's flag. You can use it as effectively a sports kit. Thank you. So you're okay with the idea of putting up Team GB flags everywhere, just not. And she was, yeah, Chris Hood. And she was like, she said to me, never. I said, I did know. And they included that bit in the quote. Proper Meme says, business advice at the post office. Don't start a post office franchise or trust Ed Davey. Yep. Ed Davey had a quote in reply to that. He said, because he was probably on a log flume. Children will see fewer junk food ads from this week as a voluntary ban takes effect ahead of a full crackdown in January. The ban will cover telly ads between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. All right. So if your kids are really early starters, if your kids, and I agree with this, your kids are getting up at 5, feed them junk food. Here you go. Have some trans fats. That'll slow you down. Let's get your cholesterol up at the level where you run out of puff. Yeah, sure. Run around the house a bit. But when you need a little sit down, a little smoke to make yourself feel better, that's what you need to do with your kids. Proper Meme said that's the best Ed Davey impression around. It isn't it? Oh, it's me car's in. I'll have to take that in a minute. I'll call them back. We're nearly out of time anyway. And that's my car, not the family car that I'm getting a call about. I'll give them a call back in a second. We'll just deal with this one before we go. Panto jokes may contain jokes. Panto may contain jokes. Theatre bosses have slapped trigger warnings on pantos for things like their cheeky jokes and audience participation. In general, I'm always against these trigger warnings when they're just a bit much, where some of it should be presumed anyway. There was a story recently saying that ITV have put a trigger warning on Tommy Cooper material because some views might be outdated. If you're sitting down to watch the best of something that was broadcast in the 70s, it's on you to know what year it is. Do you know what I mean? This one, though, I agree with, because trigger warning about audience participation, yeah. Oh, no, I want to be warned in case one of these performers are going to... It's weird. For someone who actually goes up on stage, I would never sit on the front row of anything. And yet I moan when people don't sit in my front row. I talk to people from the stage, like, why are you being so coy? And yet if you try and speak to me from the stage, not a chance. No. If I'm at a panto and you try and get me involved in your stupid singing, will you pull down the lyrics? And I'm meant to sing along to some tricky thing like, all I want is a proper cup of coffee made in a proper cup of coffee pot. No one can sing it unless you've practiced. You can't sing it. There are too many words in it. I went to a panto once. I I think Rolf Harris was in it. Oh, no. And he pulls down the lyrics. And we're all sat in the audience having to sing, I might be off my job, but I want a proper cup of coffee and a proper coffee pot. Tin coffee pots, iron coffee pots, they're no good to me. If I can't have a proper cup of coffee and a proper cup of coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea. No one can say that. I managed to get through it. Not bad. If the Swiss wristwatch strap shop shuts, which shop still sells Swiss wristwatch straps? There's two more stories, but I need to call about my car. I'll give you the quick hit on this. This is just funny. John Lennon's son says it's ridiculous that people believe Yoko Ono split up the Beatles. That story again. Bloke saying, oh, stop talking about my mum. She said to me, you never guess what he said. I said, I know. And then there's this one, which, do we have space? Oh, that's too big for anyone. But basically, footballers have been banned from urging their teammates on by saying, come on, lads, because they want it to be more inclusive. I'm all for inclusive language. But, if you're in a team of lads, you know what I mean? If you know the group you're addressing are entirely consisting of lads, why can't you say lads? Like Dex's Midnight Runners could name Eileen. They didn't have to be, or whoever you are. Is that what it was? I imagine it was a cheering on. I've not listened to all the lyrics, but I think Dexy was going like, come on, Eileen. Go on, you can do it. You can do it, girl. So I think we're up to date. That's Joodle says beautiful. I have no idea to what, but I'm presuming the face. Is that what we're talking about here? Can't do. There it is. Thank you very much for participating in this live stream. They are getting more frantic, aren't they? Feels like it should have been getting more controlled, and yet somehow we're losing the plot more often. Okay. Go to kofi.com/Mr. Stephen Allen if you'd like to try and help me pay for the repairs to the car and the MOT. My car will fail its MOT. That's what that'll be about. A headlight might get fixed. You never know. The family car, one member of the family drove it through a fence, and it was not me or the kids. So I don't have to pay for those repairs. But kofi.com/Mr. Stephen Allen would very much help. Substack. I'll try and get something out there today. I've got plans. I've got ideas. Get subscribed to the Substack. Substack.com/@Mr. Stephen Allen. Subscribe on YouTube. We'll do another one of these on Thursday, maybe, if I can drop the kids off. And until next time, have yourself a good one.